Let's talking about blood today. What is blood? Blood is red sticky liquid which circulated around the body through blood vessels by the pumping action of the heart. Blood is a fluid connective tissue composed of blood plasma and cells which including red blood cell, white blood cell, and platelet. The total blood volume forms 4 to 5 liters of blood formed of cells and plasma in normal healthy adult. Blood plasma forms about 55% of the total blood volume. The other 45% comprises of a variety of different forms of cells. What is mainly function of blood? Blood have 3 mainly functions: transportation, regulation, and protection. Different components of blood perform different functions. Let's talking about blood plasma first. Blood plasma, which by itself is straw yellow in color. It is essentially an aqueous solution containing 92% water, 8% blood plasma proteins, and trace amounts of other materials. What is the function of blood plasma? Blood plasma circulates dissolved nutrients such as glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, mineral ions, and hormones dissolved in the blood or bound to plasma proteins, transport of them to tissue, cells, and removes waste products such as carbon dioxide, urea, and lactic acid. Transport of them to lung and kidney to relieve from the body. It is also maintaining homeostasis of all body fluids. Regulate pH and helps adjust body temperature through the heat absorbing and coolant properties of the water. In blood plasma, there are 8% blood plasma proteins. Albumin is the main protein in blood plasma. Albumin is a protein made by the liver, and its main role is to maintain the osmotic pressure of the blood compartment, provide nourishment of the tissues, and transport hormones, vitamins, drugs, and other substances such as calcium throughout the body. Regulate the colloidal osmotic pressure of blood. How many kinds cells in the blood? The blood cells are mainly red blood cells, also called RBCs or erythrocytes, white blood cells, also called WBCs or leukocytes, and platelets, also called thrombocytes. In humans, blood cells suspended in blood plasma. What is the function of red blood cells? Red blood cells are the most numerous living cells in blood. Their primary function is to transport oxygen from the lungs to the cells of the body. Red blood cells are disc-shaped. They are flexible and bioconcave, flat and round with depressed centers. Red blood cell contains hemoglobin, an iron-containing protein, which facilitates oxygen transport by reversibly binding to this respiratory gas, oxygen, and greatly increasing its solubility in blood. In contrast, carbon dioxide is mostly transported extracellularly as bicarbonate ion transported in plasma. Human blood is bright red when its hemoglobin is oxygenated and dark red when it is deoxygenated. In human, blood carries oxygen from inhaled air to the tissues of the body, and then carries carbon dioxide, a waste product of metabolism produced by cells, from the tissues to the lungs to be exhaled. Another important cells in the blood is white blood cells. White blood cells, also called leukocytes, are the disease-fighting components of blood. They account for just 1% of circulating blood, but multiply during infection or inflammation. White blood cells are usually larger in size, 10 to 14 micrometers in diameter, than red blood cells. They lack hemoglobin but contain organelles, a nucleus, and nuclear DNA. There are 5 types of white blood cells: neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils. Neutrophils are the most abundant, comprising 60% to 70% of all white blood cells. Neutrophils help heal damaged tissues and resolve infections. Neutrophil blood levels increase naturally in response to infections, injuries, and other types of stress. They may decrease in response to severe or chronic infections, drug treatments, and genetic conditions. 20 to 30% of white blood cells are lymphocytes. Lymphocytes include natural killer cells, which function in cell-mediated, cytotoxic innate immunity, T cells, for cell-mediated, cytotoxic adaptive immunity, and B cells, for humoral, antibody-driven adaptive immunity. They are the main type of cell found in lymph, which prompted the name lymphocyte. Monocytes compose 2% to 10% of all leukocytes in the human body and serve multiple roles in immune function. Like other white blood cells, monocytes are important in the immune system's ability to destroy invaders, but also in facilitating healing and repair. Monocytes are formed in the bone marrow and are released into peripheral blood, where they circulate for several days. Eosinophils are a type of disease-fighting white blood cell. This condition most often indicates a parasitic infection, an allergic reaction, or cancer. Basophils are only about 0.5% to 1% of circulating white blood cells. However, they are the largest type of granulocyte. They are responsible for inflammatory reactions during immune response, as well as in the formation of acute and chronic allergic diseases, including anaphylaxis, asthma, atopic dermatitis, and hay fever. They also produce compounds that coordinate immune responses, including histamine and serotonin that induce inflammation, heparin that prevents blood clotting. Humans have an adaptive immune system, based largely on white blood cells. WBCs are the main functional component of the body's immune system. White blood cells help to resist infections and parasites. White blood cells protect the body from pathogens. They destroy and remove old or aberrant cells and cellular debris, as well as attack infectious agents, pathogens, and foreign substances. Platelets. Platelets, also called thrombocytes, platelets measure between 1 to 2 micrometers in diameter. These membrane-bound cell fragments lack nuclei and are responsible for blood clotting, coagulation. They result from fragmentation of large cells called megakaryocytes, which are derived from stem cells in the bone marrow. Platelets are produced at a rate of 200 billion per day, a process regulated by the hormone thrombopoietin. Platelets contain mitochondrial DNA, but not nuclear DNA. The sticky surface of platelets allows them to accumulate at the site of broken blood vessels to form a clot, due in part to the release of clotting factors that occurs during endothelial injury to blood vessels. This process is called hemostasis. Platelets secrete factors that increase local platelet aggregation. Example, thromboxane A, enhance vasoconstriction. Example, serotonin, and promote blood coagulation. Example, thromboplastin, fibrinogen. Platelets are critically important for wound healing, which can only occur once the clot forms and bleeding ceases completely. Platelets are important in the clotting of blood. Platelets clot blood at sites of injury. When a blood vessel tears, platelets and plasma proteins work together to stop blood loss. Platelets, also called thrombocytes, clump and form a plug in the damaged area. The proteins form threads called fibrins to complete the platelet plug or clot. Here is the basic information about blood. If you like the video, you could subscribe the channel, and you could find more useful video there, and more nice videos will come soon. Thanks for watching.